Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, America's Cup fans. Good evening, sailing fans. Welcome to the Inside Tack. Got two of my very favourite people here with me tonight. Got head of sailing, Giles Scott, returning.
Hello.
Everyone loves Giles. Going to keep dragging him in, much to your frustration. You sometimes think this is a bit nonsensy and fluffy, but everyone loves it, and everyone loves you, Giles.
Where did that come from? That's not right.
No, okay. And
Don't be like that.
I'm not going to be like that. And one of our cycles, Ben Cornish. Welcome, Ben. First time on the pod. And Ben, you...
Come on.
Oh no, you were on the original
I'm not
pod.
coming back.
Don't be like
I've
that,
been
Ben.
here the other night.
Two reluctant people tonight. Let's just build the mood a little bit, lads, eh? Yeah, we are here. We've had race day 3 of the America's Cup, and it was we billed it as Super Saturday last night. Giles, was it Super Saturday?
Oh, there's plenty going on. Just talking about all the races just before we started here, and it's tough to remember it after a long day.
Yeah.
Busy, for sure.
So give us a little rundown from what you can remember.
So it's very testing.
Yeah.
Italians, USA. Italians got the win there, which quite a good race there. New Zealand and the French, but the French retired.
Did they start? Or
They didn't start. They retired, and then they were seen pretty quickly sailing around off the course. So yeah, not too sure what was going on there.
right?
Then us against the Swiss.
Yep.
French against USA.
Yep.
Us against the Italians.
Sorry, French against USA was who won that one?
USA win.
Yep.
Yeah, USA win,
Yep.
and then an Italian win against us, unfortunately.
Yes.
And then the last race, the Swiss against the New Zealand guys was postponed.
Postponed. So we had 6 races scheduled, 5 races completed, and we were sitting around at breakfast, Cornish, and you and I were saying, with the forecast ahead, we'd be lucky to get 2 out of the 6 results in the bag. So to get 5 out of the way is credit to the race management team on that race course, with the breeze lifting up over the land and being very light in the start area, right?
Yeah, I mean, the forecast looked quite similar to yesterday, didn't it?
Yeah.
In a way. And then with this easterly breeze, it doesn't really help as the land heats up. So the cloud coverage over Barcelona was quite welcome today, and the breeze hung in.
Yes. Right, lads, as always, let's dive into our first race. Our first race was race 3 on the schedule, and it was against Alinghi Red Bull Racing, the team from Switzerland. Giles, talk us through the pre-start here.
Yeah, I think today, a lot like the other days, you can see the power of the gas. I know we'll talk about that in a bit more detail a bit later, but yeah, getting that tack in front of Alinghi was super powerful, and you can see them here. They're really sucking that gas pretty hard there, and down to 15 knots, hull in the water, really struggling. And now, as the British boat here, we're now killing time for the pin end. And a great judgment from the guys. We're able to be on time at the pin and up to speed. So yeah, doesn't really get too much better as a pre-start than that.
And in terms of our pre-start stuff, yes, we had the preliminary regatta. We haven't done that. We didn't do that much racing in the AC40s. Is the dirty air and planting that on other boats more powerful than you ever thought in this cup?
No, not really. But we know that it's massively powerful in the light airs. It's a feature when it's breezier as well. But the yachts can still foil around just fine, and fishtail and chase each other quite comfortably in 12 knots, but in the 7 knots we had today, that's just not possible. As you can see here, there's probably, 60 meters separation between the yachts, but even with that, it's enough to put Alinghi off the foil.
And how much, Ben, do you recall kind of how much breeze there was around start time here?
Yeah, we must have been looking at sort of 7.5, I guess.
Yes.
And all those numbers they really dictate what style of pre-start you're going to play out. The difference of even half a knot of wind speed can change whether you can actually pull off a jibe or you're thinking of tacking. So it's really, the pre-start plan's evolving all the way through until this point.
Similar vibes to our first race in the America's Cup this time round, where we had a nice lead against American Magic and kind of had that loose cover conversation versus joining the dots in a similar breeze direction, similar shifts, similar puffs. Did it feel like you were on board today, did it feel like today we were much more it was a smidge lighter, let's be honest. We were joining our own dots and sailing our own race and trying to be critical with that stuff?
Yep, we certainly sailed a different style, I guess, to the previous race when we had that sort of lead. But it was a day where it wasn't over till the fat lady sung,
Yeah.
and she didn't sing till pretty late.
She didn't sing at all. But before we go on to our close end of the race, Giles, Dirty Wind, like, just give us a bit of a chat through for it, for the non-sailors tuning in. What's it all about?
Well, this image is just beautiful, isn't it? The guys have created this pretty quickly before the. Oh, it's a video.
It's a
Excellent.
video. Look at that.
Oh, amazing.
Shout
Yeah.
out,
So
Louis.
this shows it perfectly. You've got the wind coming in from the right-hand side of the screen there, and then off the back of the sails. By the time the wind is bent around the mast, the sails, and then ejected out the back, it's really, really turbulent, and it takes a lot of speed out of the wind. So you can use that to your advantage if you can place a competitor in that dirty air where all this green fluff's flying off the back of the yacht. That's what we call gas.
Right. And how, as a helmsman, do you know where to plant that gas? Like, you kind of know the angle it's coming off your mainsail?
Yeah, you know what your apparent wind direction is and what that angle is to the way that you're headed. So typically in these yachts, you travel so fast, so your apparents are anywhere between, let's say, 10 and 20-ish degrees.
Right.
So you've got a little window and a little pocket to try and project over your competitors.
There you go. And it's definitely been a feature in the light airs over the last few days. Ben, you were on the boat, as we said, and I think halfway up the last beat, the breeze trended down, and we were seeing breeze below 6 knots going up the last upwind. And you made quite a wise old comment saying, lads, there's a bit left in this race yet, just keep your powder dry. And we had a jibe on the last downwind where we fell off the foil and had to do re-accelerate, right? That's a big moment coming downwind. Here we are coming into the, I think maybe that's turning downwind on the final leg and the jibe.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? It probably should have been our final jibe in. I think we were probably laying from there if we'd have stuck this manoeuvre. But yeah, just a real, as we've spoken about, in this wind direction, it gets lighter down towards the bottom of the course, and quite a hard jibe for us. I think probably saw bottom end of the wind limit, and we didn't pull it off. Thankfully, the lead was big enough that the guys on board could stay calm and get the boat back up on the foils, and nurse it across the line. But it was certainly a tense minute and a half or whatever it was.
Yeah, we all have the instrumentation in front of us, and us as cyclists, obviously we're cycling away, but going into that last jibe, I definitely saw it drop below 6 knots, and our boat speed wasn't quite where we wanted it to be going into that jibe, and you think, oh boy, here we go. And we then, Ben, had a big re-accelerate, right, where all the sails are eased to reattach the flow, try and build the boat speed, and then you've got to bring all those sails back on, so it's a massive hard work effort, and then rolling into a jibe.
Yeah, well, us cyclists thought we were almost home and hosed, didn't we? But we had another couple of minutes of hard work, and the best thing there was it stayed very calm. Worst thing that could have happened is then you fluff the next one and compound another error. But it was good. It was a good learner.
Yeah, good learner. And
it's probably worth saying as well that for you guys, typically when you look at yachting, you assume as it gets windier, it gets harder.
Oh.
But that's not really the case for you guys, is it?
No, not at all.
Like that light stuff, accelerating, big throws and sheets.
Yeah.
That's your nightmare, right?
Yeah. Cyclists rejoice in 12 to 14 knots, where there's not too much sheet movement and the tonnages and the sails aren't high. But we haven't seen that yet, have we, Ben?
Not yet.
Yet to come, I'm sure.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, yet to come. And that was a really nice moment. A great point against Alinghi, a class act Alinghi, and it brought about some lovely celebrations in the bar, our Grenadier pub. We have friends and family in watching, and I think that they enjoyed that one, and we got a few clips of them enjoying that moment. All right, that doesn't
Happy
it?
days.
Yeah, that looks all right. What are we doing? Why are we there? That looks amazing. Having a few Estrella dams, absolutely brilliant. Anyway, I'm glad everyone enjoyed that race. And Giles, in between races, dropped dribs, had a chat. We know that we had a big race against Prada because they were also unbeaten against the challengers coming towards the end of this round robin, as were we. There were a few delays for the wind limit being too low.
Yeah.
And we eventually got the race off. And talk us through that pre-start.
Yeah, I mean it's set up reasonably similar to the Alinghi race, and again it's this lead back, and if you're this boat that's leading towards the pin and you've got someone on your tail, it's a really strong position to be, because by the time you both wind up onto the breeze, you're tight leeward, and it's very, very difficult for that boat to windward to live.
Sorry, let me stop. What do you mean by live? What do you mean by that?
So it's called a we call it a lee bow in sailing, where basically the way that the wind gets bent around the boat that's to the leeward side of out of the two yachts.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult for that windward boat to stay at the same speed. Their angle just ends up pointing at you because of the bend in the wind off that boat to the leeward side. So in match racing terms, this is what we'd call a pretty nice winning start. And I know you have Ian on a lot, and this is something that we work we've been striving towards in the sim sessions in the mornings and the evenings. So yeah, the guys did a real nice job here and stuck Luna Rossa in a really, really tricky spot here.
And then from that point, as you can see towards the end of this video, Luna Rossa tacked out. So we effectively had a split tack start after this. Us going to the left-hand boundary, Luna Rossa going to the right-hand boundary, and we came together halfway up the first upwind, and from memory, Ben, we crossed a few lengths ahead.
Yeah, quite a hard decision here for the guys on board, whether to push through and cross, or whether there was enough wind and enough boat speed to be able to tack in front. Obviously, with the benefit of hindsight, it probably would have been the play to get to that top left, but no one really knew what was going to play out.
Yeah, it's hard though, isn't it? Because 40 meters ahead, and tack losses in these conditions is quite a bit more than that. So yeah, you can see why they didn't want to go.
And then as it played out, I think the Italians hooked into good pressure in that top left corner and laid in from there to the right turn.
They were one and in right turn. Yeah.
But it just it highlighted the huge gains and losses of even a knot more pressure in this stuff. The boats wind up, and the speeds and the angles are so much stronger. It's really all about sniffing out the breeze.
Sort of. That's a great point actually, Ben. Like without giving anything away about the data on our boat, Charles, what do you reckon are kind of the difference in our upwind speeds in a 7 knots of breeze versus 8 knots of breeze? Does that translate into like 4 knots of boat speed and a couple of clicks of height, roughly?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's pretty massive if you think that yachts are racing. Like, being very general here.
Yeah.
It's 7 knots today.
Yeah.
You're going upwind at 31, 32 knots.
Yeah.
In 15 to 16 knots, it's closer to 40 knots.
Yeah.
So it's it's
everything
a massive
in the middle.
difference.
Yeah. That extra knot, finding that extra knot or half knot of boat speed, as Alinghi did, and full credit to them. Sort of got that cross at the top, led the race. It was close on the first downwind, but then, Giles, we had a sticky jibe at the bottom and fell off the foil, and that's all she wrote in this race, really.
Yeah. I'm unfortunate this one. Just really lie at the bottom of the course, and actually the last jibe that the Italians did before that at that right turn was super marginal as well, but they just stuck it and snuck around that right hand turn and got away. And yeah, it's a pretty nasty spot to be for us, unfortunately, and yeah, a little bit
Bertie,
not easy to recover.
Oh,
Bertie knew it.
Yeah, Bertie knew it.
Knew
Bertie's
it. He knew
actually
it was no
Italian.
good.
So Bertie's actually an Italian guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's one of our software engineers. And man, there's some Italian passion in our chase
Brought
boats
the
as well,
passion,
as you could see the old slap of the head there.
Yeah.
But that's a great shot of the chase boat, guys. Let's just keep rolling this through again. So you're going to be looking at the guy on the right-hand side of your screen, halfway up, and he doesn't look very happy about us being off the foil. But that's the kind of passion that we like here. There he is. Mamma mia was maybe said there, maybe with a bit more blue language. But he's not happy. He's not happy. Good on you, Berts. Well done, mate. Right, so let's put a full stop on the on the racing there. And as always, you guys are sending so many questions in, and it is brilliant to get the questions. Question from Cornish, have a go at reading that username.
8 Cervezas.
8 Cervezas.
8 Cervezas.
That's
648.
8 beers,
From
I think,
Eight
in
Cervezas.
Spanish, that,
What
mate.
kind of mystical language is that?
Following weigh-in for racing, are you free to put on the pounds?
Oh, now that's
Well, not really, because
how many weigh-ins have we got, brother?
we did
Wow.
one before the first preliminary, followed by a week later we did another one,
Yeah.
and we've got probably a week's time before we do it again.
So there is, if you go all the way to the America's Cup final, the America's Cup match, we have 5 weigh-ins over the 6 weeks, I think. And
Yeah.
everyone's got weight targets, right, Giles?
Yeah, everyone's got weight targets. Some people have to put weight on,
Yeah.
others have to.
You're probably sitting with the
Take-
world's
take-
best dippers here.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
It's dipper.
Yeah.
In fact,
Biggest
the
extremes.
3 of us are all pretty
In fact,
big
we're
on the dip.
Incredible at dipping. Collectively, we'd probably lose
We've got-
between 12 and 15 kilos.
We've got.
Yeah,
You try and do it in.
do it in a wanna,
Do
in a
it in
sauna.
What's your
24
technique?
hours.
You're a sauna. I dip early, sail like absolute crap the day before the dip, and then try and hold on.
Oh, it's amazing. Your honesty's coming out now, isn't it?
Yeah. And
The
you
old-
often go
the
cycling.
4-day dip.
You often go cycling on a watt bike in a wetsuit. Has been seen.
In a drying room.
In a
I've
drying
done that
room.
in the past, yeah.
Yes.
Loads of.
But right, sorry, we got carried away then. A question from Paul Rayson. The pre-start is the most exciting bit. Could it be a bit longer in the future, e.g. in the Cup 3 or 4 minutes? Used to be 5 minutes.
Yeah, that is a good question, because when we were setting up we have a, as a Challenger record, like a lot of the racing format, we had a lot of comms with Team New Zealand and the event organisers, and it was considered to go to 3 or 4 minutes, but
Praise the Lord, it didn't. Imagine the pre-start
yeah, it would have been
circles, Cornish.
a lot harder for you guys.
Oh my God.
And to be honest, the yachts would have been. I think the yachts would have been capable of doing a 3-minute
Yeah.
minute pre-start. There would have been a bit more circling. Maybe it would have been a bit better for fan engagement. I don't know, but yeah, we decided to stick with the 2 minutes.
And it works. God, they're good, some good pre-starts. And
They're right.
they are only going to get better. Right, final question from Dogzilla a Monster.
Yeah.
Alinghi seemed to be fast upwind and maybe faster downwind. What's your take on this? Cornish, I won't ask you because you were heads down and sort of doing bits and bobs on the boat. Giles, from off the boat, did you think they had a speed edge?
No,
Okay.
I don't think they've had a speed edge, but they're certainly dangerous. I think to be honest, I think all the teams out there are dangerous, but I certainly wouldn't put Alinghi, ahead of where we're at, touch wood. But yeah, I think everyone's dangerous out there, and they've obviously had a little bit of a tough time at it recently, but they'll come out swinging. I'm sure of that.
Yeah. And Cornish, question for you. Like, what's the thing that you've learned? Like, great to have you on the pod. And what's the thing you've learned from the first opening 3 day to the round robin? Like, I'm not talking about specific performances of boats, but the kind of style of racing or anything like that.
I mean, we sort of knew it already, but it's showing the strength of what the pre-start is worth. Get your nose ahead, and maybe not so much in these conditions at the moment when there's a few snakes and ladders out there with the pressures. But I think if we get stable days, then the pre-starts are going to be 75% of the race.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think for me, the last 2 days is how unbelievably good these boats are in light winds now compared to the version 1 boats we had in Auckland. That we would not be
No way.
racing in
Nowhere
Auckland
near.
in these
Nowhere near.
these conditions.
No, and as we've seen over the last few days, we're capable, like the yachts as a whole, every team is capable of sailing around a course below the wind speed limit. If you'd have said that was going to happen 3 years ago when teams started designing these yachts, I wouldn't have believed it. It's amazing.
They are phenomenal bits of kit, and sometimes, and we always say it, the TV pictures don't do them justice. When you're down on the beach looking upwind, it's like there's no way that thing gets in the air.
Yeah.
As we said yesterday, absolute witchcraft. Right, look ahead to tomorrow. Similar forecast as today, so we're in the light stuff. Might be a click up. We are actually ending the first round robin and rolling into the second round robin. So the schedule for tomorrow is Alinghi versus New Zealand to kick us off. We have a race against the French, and then Alinghi against Italy, and then USA against New Zealand, and then the round robin 2 starts. So with Alinghi against France. Cool. If that's right, these things change a little bit overnight, but that's a big day for Alinghi. We'll look forward to that. So potentially 5 races.
Triple header.
5 races programmed in, of which we have 1 against the French. We know that they're fast. We know that they're really fast. We'll have to be at the top of our game to match those guys. But we'll be ready and we'll look forward to it. And we will debrief that race with you tomorrow. So join us then.